This is the Emotional Vocabulary Series by Duenas. Today we will address the emotion of excluded or exclusion. Why does being left out hurt so much? Discover the deep emotional impact of exclusion, how it shapes our sense of belonging, and how to reclaim your place in the world. Introduction. Exclusion is a profound and painful emotional experience that arises when someone feels left out, ignored, or alienated from a group or relationship. As social beings, humans thrive on connection and belonging. Exclusion disrupts this fundamental need, often triggering feelings of loneliness, inadequacy, and resentment. While it can serve as a motivator to reconnect or seek new social opportunities, prolonged exclusion can damage mental health and erode self-worth. By understanding the roots and effects of exclusion, we can develop strategies to cope with it, foster inclusion, and build stronger, more meaningful relationships. Definitions. Layman's definition. Exclusion is the feeling of being left out or not included in activities, conversations, or groups, leading to a sense of isolation and disconnection. Clinical definition. Exclusion is an emotional response to perceived social rejection or alienation, often tied to disrupted attachment or belonging, which can adversely impact self-esteem and interpersonal trust. Perception and expression in everyday contexts. Exclusion can manifest as not being invited to social events, being ignored in conversations, or feeling invisible in professional or personal settings. It often results in sadness, frustration, or a withdrawal from social interaction. Origins. Evolutionary roots. Exclusion is tied to our evolutionary need for group membership and survival. Early humans relied on inclusion within groups for safety, food, and reproduction. Exclusion could mean life-threatening isolation, making it a deeply ingrained fear. Cultural dimensions. Cultural norms influence how exclusion is perceived and managed. Collectivist cultures place significant emphasis on group harmony and inclusion, while individualistic cultures may normalize exclusion as a result of competition or independence. Biological mechanisms. Exclusion activates the anterior cingulate cortex, the same brain region involved in processing physical pain. This overlap explains why exclusion feels so acutely painful. The release of stress hormones like cortisol during exclusion exacerbates feelings of discomfort and alienation. Effects of exclusion on psyche. Exclusion deeply affects mental health, contributing to loneliness, depression, and anxiety. It can also lead to feelings of unworthiness and mistrust in relationships. On daily life. Exclusion impacts habits and routines, such as avoiding social gatherings, withdrawing from interactions, or overcompensating to gain acceptance. On family and friends. Being excluded by loved ones can strain or sever relationships, fostering resentment and diminishing trust. In the workplace. In professional settings, exclusion can hinder collaboration, reduce productivity, and lead to feelings of isolation and disengagement, often referred to as workplace ostracism. On freedom. Exclusion limits personal freedom by fostering fear of judgment or rejection, discouraging individuals from expressing their true selves or pursuing their interests. Examples. Personal story. A student feels excluded when their friends form a group project without inviting them, leading them to seek new friendships with shared values. Societal behavior. Social exclusion of marginalized groups often perpetuates systemic inequities, as seen in racial segregation or gender discrimination. Historical event. The apartheid system in South Africa institutionalized exclusion, depriving millions of social and political rights, and fueling decades of inequality. Challenges in mental health to deal with exclusion. Exclusion, particularly when repeated or severe, can lead to chronic loneliness, low self-esteem, and distrust in social interactions. It is a common trigger for depression and social anxiety, and it can create lasting emotional scars if unaddressed. In extreme cases, exclusion can lead to self-isolation, hostility, or maladaptive coping mechanisms. Management and mitigation. Strategies. Reframing experiences. Viewing exclusion as an opportunity for self-discovery or seeking more meaningful connections. Building connections. Joining new groups, pursuing hobbies, or engaging in community activities can foster a sense of belonging. Therapy. CBT and group therapy help individuals process feelings of exclusion and rebuild confidence. Assertive communication. Advocating for inclusion by expressing feelings and setting boundaries fosters healthier relationships. Resources. Support groups for individuals experiencing loneliness or isolation, books and workshops on fostering inclusion and building resilience, counseling services for addressing the impacts of exclusion. Conclusion. Exclusion is a painful but universal human experience that disrupts our sense of belonging and self-worth. By understanding its origins and impacts, individuals can process feelings of exclusion constructively, seek healthier connections, and foster inclusion in their own lives and communities. Cultivating emotional intelligence around exclusion empowers individuals to overcome setbacks, deepen relationships, and embrace their inherent value. This was The Emotion of Excluded or Exclusion from the Emotional Vocabulary series by Duenas.